2 of 4 children are piano players. And my son had started, he's 11, he had started when he was 5. And being a parent, you want the best for him. And we went to actually a place and bought a piano, and they had teachers there. And that's how we were recommended. And, I don't play an instrument. I have very little knowledge about instruments. I played violin when I was, a child for a very short amount of time. So I have rudimentary, knowledge of music. And so you think you're doing the best. And we went with this teacher who was recommended. And after a year, the approach they were taking was to use the system where they numbered your fingers, and the fingers went with a note, corresponded with a note, but it was a number. They didn't assign a letter to it. So C would be 1. So you would say, okay, play your 1 finger. That's 1. So, and eventually it was supposed to wean you off the number system, and you were supposed to learn the notes, like they're A, B, C, or D. And I'm like, my son is not getting this. And what I was told was I figured out, he's outsmarting the system. He had figured out how to just get by with the numbers, assigning numbers. I'm like, well, this is not good. And the teacher she's like, yeah, he's one of the 3% that kind of outsmarted the system. And she'd been teaching a long time. I'm like, oh, well, this isn't really, I need someone else here. This isn't really working. And so went to, it just so happened that she was a lovely person, but it was, I'm paying for him to accomplish something and to learn a skill. And he started going to a different school, and they offered after school music lessons. And so we started those, and I thought, oh, she's lovely. She's so nice, and she's friendly. And after a year of lessons there again, I started feeling like you really should be progressing. And there was no dynamics in the song. It was kind of flat. And I was like, this isn't working either. And then at the same time, my daughter was starting school, so she was taking lessons. And I'm like, oh, now, well, maybe it's because, he's coming from a different teacher and this is what's happening. But then when my daughter started and I saw, well, she's not really progressing. She's just learning note, kind of like rote memorization. Like, this is a C, this is a C, this is a D. And you have to just there was no musicality. There was nothing. And I was complaining about it. I was at my wit's end. I was trying to ask people, where do you take your kids? And a lot of people did the after school program. And I'm like, well, I'm not happy. You all are, what's going on here? So this is crazy. I was happened to be at the local grocery store, and there was this guy that we always saw and we were friendly with. He's a musician, and he said, you should go to Cecilia Prinky. She knows what she's doing. And he was eventually had gone from Cecilia to Peabody, and so he played in a band, and he just knew what he was talking about. I'm like, I'm going to just trust my gut. So one day he gave me the number. I called her up, and I left her a message, and she got back to me. And I was like, she knows what she's doing. Just by talking to her on the phone, I knew that she had knowledge of music and that she would be able to teach my children what they needed to know. So we met Cecilia, we came in, she assessed the children, she talked to me about what was going on and where they were at and where they needed to go and what skills were, my son his sight reading was off the charts, but some basic knowledge was just I don't know what, was lacking. And my daughter was, because she had only been taking a year, there wasn't as much damage done to her. And it was damage. He's recouping what he should have had years ago. But so there wasn't as much damage. She just kind of wasted a year. It was just wasted a year of money because she really didn't learn anything, quite frankly. So she's come here and most of my children have blossomed. I mean, it's amazing. She's a wonderful, wonderful teacher. And I tell everyone about the school. Everyone.